I often get asked the question, what's the secret sauce for how Airbnb builds amazing products? I worked at Airbnb and helped the company build and scale their product management function. In addition to that, I was also the GM for one of the 5 business units at Airbnb, leading the product, engineering, design, and business functions. The first product principle I want to talk about is start with the ideal end state of your product first. When building products at Airbnb, the team focuses on working backwards from the ideal end state experience for the customer of their product. Typically, at the start of the product development process, PMs and designers will obsess over figuring out the details of an ideal customer experience, an experience that is without any constraints. They will aim to design what Chesky would call an 11 out of 10 experience. PMs and designers are encouraged to think without any constraints of time, resources, budgets, and challenge any existing assumptions of what's possible with existing technology. Now contrast that with other companies. At most other companies, PMs and designers start with a minimum viable experience of their product. Typically, that would be a 6 or at best a 7 out of 10 experience. By doing so, these other companies are inherently starting with a constrained view of what is possible. They get caught up in shipping a minimum viable product. And by the way, when this product ships eventually, it delivers a 5 out of 10 experience for their customers due to a death by 1,000 cuts. Let me share with you an example of how Airbnb applies this principle in action. Brian Chesky was inspired by Disney. He learned how filmmakers create amazing stories using frames. In particular, he was inspired by how the movie Snow White was built. What you see on your screen is what adorns Airbnb's walls, and it's called Snow White. Brian commissioned a Disney illustrator to design frame by frame an experience of how guests and hosts will use Airbnb. As you can tell from the images shown here, there are frames that describe each and every experience, the emotions, and the set of actions that hosts and guests will take when they experience the Airbnb product. For a guest, an example frame would be the opening of the door to a house and feeling at home in a stranger's home. For a host, a frame would be the anxiety they feel when they list their home for the first time on Airbnb. Each frame represents the feelings, the emotions, and the set of actions that customers take. Mind you, these frames aren't the product. These frames are a technique that forces you to think about the product holistically versus shipping an MVP. As you all know, Airbnb's product isn't the app, but rather the memories you build when you stay at someone's home. It's really important for PMs and designers to bridge the experience from the app, which is very much about the transaction of booking the home, to the physical experience inside the home, which is all about the feelings and emotions guests experience when they stay in a stranger's home. For each frame shown in Snow White, there are multiple teams working to ship multiple features. However, they are all united in their outcome to deliver the ideal experience for their customers.